Hello guys and welcome back. So in the previous video, as you know that we have completed our main menu UI. Now in this video what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our scope, okay? But let me clear one thing is in the previous video I've told you that we will be adding the mobile inputs. But as you know that I am updating this course like after a month or two, so I forgot we don't have any mobile inputs in this game, okay? So I just want to clear that out that we will not be adding any mobile inputs in this game. We will be just adding the scope. Now for adding the scope, as you know that in our previous videos, if you check the scripts, then player controls, as you know that in the player actions, we have already set up a button for our scope, which is the right mouse button, okay? And also, if you open up the input manager script right here, we have also set up our scope input button, okay? We are reading it whenever we click it, okay? So now on the shooting controller, let's type the code for it. But before typing the code for it, let's first of all test out our player controller, okay? So I'm gonna start a new game, okay? Let's start a single player game for now. Okay, so now as you can see, when we press the mouse right button, nothing happens, okay? We can only shoot, okay? As you can see, we are hitting this cylinder. Okay, so we can only shoot and we can't go in aiming or shooting, okay? So what we're gonna do now is we will make that scope button work first of all. So on the shooting controller, right after this, let's create a public bool by the name of is scope input, okay? Then if we scroll down in the update right here, we're gonna say is scope input equals to input manager dot scope input. Let me check it. It is scope input, okay? So we're gonna add that. Then after this, we have this if condition, then else if the shooting input is pressed, then we have the else. So now right here, let's add another else if, and we're gonna say if the scope input happens, then what we're gonna do, let me copy this, paste it right here. We're gonna make the shoot false, the shooting movement true, and the shoot work will be false, and also is shooting will be false as well. That is all we have to do for now. Okay, so now if you click next, click create room, create a room, start the game. Okay, let's move out. Now if you press the scope input, as you can see, the player now goes into aiming. Okay, so now when the player goes into aiming, at this point right here, we will now activate our uh, what it called our holographic scope, okay, or you can say the holoscope. Okay, as you can see, when now we press the right button, it goes into aiming and walking, okay? And if we shoot, we can also shoot as well, as you can see. Okay, so now it's reloading. We can aim again and shoot. Okay, and if you are shooting, we can still aim, as you can see. Okay, so now let's add the uh, scope. So for the scope, if you click on game, then sprites crosshair, in here, as you know, we have this hologram scope right here. So let's first of all click on resource, Photon prefab, double click on player. Inside the player, we're going to create a UI canvas. Let's name this as scope canvas. Then in here, we're going to create an image. Let's name this as scope. Okay, let me actually change into 2D mode. Double click on this scope canvas, and then here is the thing. So now let's drag and drop the scope in there. And now Let's change the width of it to 1218. The height will be 1130. Okay, it is really big, so we have to move it right here. Then move it from the bottom to, let's just say, here. Click on set native size. Okay, first of all move it to the center, then let's make it a little bit bigger, then move it right here and at the bottom as well. Okay, so I think it looks good. We need to hide this area. Okay, so inside the scope I'm going to create a UI panel. Move this right here. And let's set its color. So I'm going to select this color. Okay, you can select this thing and drag and drop it right here, and it's gonna select that color. And let's make it 245. That is it. Okay, so this will be our scope canvas. Now let's go ahead and open up our camera script. So where is it? Okay, here it is, camera manager. And on the camera manager, let's now set up our scope. Okay, so right here at the bottom, let's create a reference to the canvas which we created. So let's name this as scope canvas. Okay, also create a private bool by the name of is scoped, and this will be equals to false. Okay, and then right here let's create a header for it by the name of scope. Okay, so this is a reference to the scope canvas. This is to check if the player is scoped or not. Also we need to create a reference to the other player UI. So public game object player UI, and this is a reference to the kill count and the health bar and everything else. Okay, also we need to create a reference to our main camera. Okay, so public camera, name this as main camera. Okay, and then we're gonna create another private. Let me actually move this private from there to here, and then create another private float by the name of original FOV. Let's set this to 60. Then if we scroll down right here at the bottom, let's create a method by the name of is player scoped. So if input manager dot scope input is pressed, then we can activate the scope canvas. So scope canvas dot set active true. We're gonna deactivate the player UI. So set it to false and change the main camera dot field of view to 630. Okay, after this, let me actually copy these three lines now. And in the else block, when the scope button is not pressed, then we're gonna make this disappear and the player UI to appear, and the field of view will be equals to the original FOV, or you can say field of view. That is all we have to do. After this, scroll up and in the handle all camera movement, call this method is player scoped. Then get back to Unity and double click on your player. Then click on the camera manager. In the scope canvas, drag and drop your scope canvas. In the player UI, drag and drop your health and crosshair. And in the main camera, open up this camera manager and then camera pivot and then drag and drop the main camera there. Okay, and once you do that, then go ahead and start the game. Right, so let's go ahead and start it. Let's move out now. As you can see, it shows the uh, scope, but if you notice, we can still see our player, okay? And we don't want that. Also, if you play this in full screen, as you can see, we still see the player, and also this is not looking good at all, okay? Not as we expected. So we need to fix this. Just simply close the game and then open up the player. Let me actually move my game window to the next screen so that I can make it full screen. Okay, so as you can see, when I make it full screen, the whole canvas updates. As you can see, okay, it gets bigger. So make sure that you do that as well. Okay, now I'm gonna open up this. As you can see, this is how our scope looks in full mode. So I'm gonna change this now. Okay, so what I did here is I make this fully stretch, okay, like this. Let me delete the panel for now. Okay, select the scope, stretch it like this on the whole screen, okay. Then move this up there and right down below as well, like this. Then 1, 2, leave 2 grids there, and then 1, 2, leave 2 grids on the other side, okay. And then after this, let's create a UI panel again. Okay, make this 240 and make it black, and now move it right here. And we can change the color to this. That is all. Okay, once you do that, after this, open up the camera manager script right here, change this to, let's just say 20. And when you do that, start the game and make the game full screen. Now as you can see, here it is, okay. It looks good, but we still can see the player head. So what we're gonna do, we will zoom in our camera even more. So change this to 10, for example. Okay, so now as you can see, we can't see our player, okay. As you can see, okay, we can still see the head, but you can zoom this even more. And also if you want this skill counter to be not shown when we are in the scope mode, then you can create a reference to this and then deactivate it with the other things, okay. And also you can zoom in this camera even more, and also if you want to use some other scope image, then you can do that as well, okay. You can just use some other 2x or 4x scope, and also you can then create a reference to that kill counter right here, and then disable it when scope is active and enable it back again when the scope is inactive, okay. Now with this added, the next thing which we will be doing is, let me click on scene, open up the game. Right here we need to add the timer, okay, and also we need to add the pause menu, okay. Not actually the pause menu, but the menu to leave the game, or you can say shut down the game, okay. But we're gonna do that in the next video.